And then I'm a huge bitch, just like my grandmother. Can't get away from it. So I figured, why not embrace it?
Hello, hello, hello. I'm Joey Nolfi with Entertainment Weekly here with the RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15 cast. Today we're diving deep into the reaches of the universe because my next guest makes it clear that the universe and the stars above in the orbit have all hit the slay button. Please welcome Irene the Alien.
Bleep blorp. Hi, Joey.
I am just, your name is so fun. I love the name, but I have to say aliens truly are my worst fear, so I don't know how this...
Really?
Oh, I'm terrified of them.
You must be a top. Don't like being probed.
No. No, did you ever see that movie Signs?
Love that movie. When I saw it, it scared me.
It traumatized me as a kid.
You know what I had to do first? I had to watch the behind the scenes.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that demystifies it a little bit.
100%, yeah. So just like, watching Drag Race Untucked demystifies the main show.
Yes! Oh, that's a good connection. So are you an evil alien or are you a good alien?
I guess it depends on your perspective, If you're a capitalist, then I'm an evil alien, but if you're a communist, then I'm a great alien.
Well, I do mean this in the best way possible, though. Regardless of where you are on the alien spectrum, I feel like you're gonna be like the oddball of this group, right? Like in the best way possible.
Oh, I don't know. There are some freaks in this cast.
But I mean, your aesthetic is like, would you say it's a little kookier? It's a little crazier?
You know what's crazy is, although I am an alien, I started doing drag in Texas, so a lot of my aesthetic is based in old pageant glamour. So I'm like an alien with rhinestones, big hair. I mean, do you think this is odd or do you think this is sickening?
It's both, I think. I mean, it truly is both. I mean, I can't say many other of the queens have had like wig horns. I mean, that's just...
Wig horns that are hard as rocks.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Wow, did you spray those horns?
Oh, honey, you think I do my own hair?
Now, you've said that your main inspirations in drag are your grandmother and Star Wars, which I thought was a really cute connection. So can you please explain how both of those things combine together to create who Irene the Alien is?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was a kid, I did not have a lot of friends. So I spent a lot of time watching movies and TV, and I started to kind of feel like the characters in the shows and movies that I was watching were my friends. Being an alien now, connecting to the media that inspired me as a child, really kind of, it feels full circle. And then I'm a huge just like my grandmother, can't get away from it. So I figured, why not embrace it? My dad came and saw a show actually, and he was like, you have the perfect job. You can be a
I don't know how to respond to that. That is great. Is your grandmother still with us?
She's not, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she passed away before I even came out of the closet, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I do want to talk a little bit about your looks, because your looks, I really do. The research that I was doing, I thought that they were just fantastic.
Thank you.
do these sci-fi fantasies with like a twist on classic beauty, like you're saying. I've seen you as a sexy female gremlin with the biggest lips I have ever seen on a drag queen, a slutty version of Dobby the house elf, which might be my favorite.
Yeah.
So is the mode of operation just like pick a character from nerd culture and then make her a hoe?
Pretty much, unfortunately, yeah. I think that drag is basically a yassified version of reality. So if we hit the slay button on any character, they could become a drag queen, right? But there are some characters that lend themselves to drag, like Jessica Rabbit, that every drag queen wants to be. I like to find the characters that maybe no drag queen has ever thought of turning into a slay, and seeing how far I can push the slay.
Yes. So what's like the wildest character you think you've ever done in that regard?
RuPaul.
You've done
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say you've done a slutty RuPaul.
No, I don't know. I don't know how much crazier I can get than Dobby, you know what I mean?
True.
And, just being myself often feels pretty crazy.
So there's a little bit of you as a person that actually lives in those slutty nerd characters.
Yeah, because I'm a slutty nerd. You hear that? I'm a slut.
Well, what is like a typical Friday night for like Dobby, the house elf slut version? Like, what does she do?
Normal Dobby would be like working, but like yassified Dobby is working. You know what I mean? Master has given Dobby hosiery.
Yeah, I was hoping you would do the voice.
There we go. We've been working on it. All right, I'll do it.
No, in searching through your social media pages, I see lots of like lips and ears and noses and like these things that you do to your face. So did you try to work those into your package for Drag Race as well?
Absolutely. I brought so many like prosthetics and prosthetic ears and different pieces that I could glue to my face. I'm always interested in how I can transform my canvas beyond makeup.
Yes.
You know, because drag queens, we're working with a three-dimensional canvas, but there's no rule that says we're limited to our own bone structure. So I like to push the envelope. I'm very into transhumanism. You know what I mean? Like, how are humans going to evolve past natural selection when we're actually changing our own genetic code? What are the things that humans are going to do to ourselves with technology? So maybe some humans will do elf ears. Maybe some humans will turn their cheeks into points. I like to experiment with futuristic genetic modification.
I love that. No, that is very, like, scientist Irene the alien. I really am into this.
I am the Rick and Morty of drag.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Were you concerned maybe beforehand that maybe a certain judge named Michelle would maybe say something about the prosthetics?
You know, the thought never crossed my mind, because when I look in the mirror, I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
It is great.
And I sort of expect everybody else to react the same way. If she didn't like it, I'd be like, man, it sucks for her that she's so wrong on national television.
Yes, I feel like the fans are going to very much be into that vibe that you're giving.
Fingers crossed.
And I think it is one thing to have this great look, but translating it all to performance versus just a look is like a whole different beast. So I know you have theater and playwriting as a background, so how does that all translate into what Irene gives on the stage?
One of the things that they really hammered into us in playwriting school was there has to be a beginning, a middle, and an end. So whenever I create a mix, I always want to start somewhere, I want to change somehow, and then have some sort of resolution.
Okay.
So I use different songs, I use spoken word pieces, but most of my really good mixes tell a story.
So is there like a particular kind of story that you like to tell in drag, or is it just like whatever speaks to you about the songs that you're choosing?
Often it's about the character. So I have a character in mind, whether I'm twisting on a robot or taking Medusa's tail and moving it in a different direction, but I'm really interested in the idea of creating the most beautiful thing I can and then just destroying it. I see drag queens as sand castles in a hurricane. You know, as soon as you're done, we immediately begin to deteriorate. So why fight that? In my performances, I like to embrace the deterioration and sort of show everybody that I'm just a clown.
Yeah, why? I'm interested to hear more about why you think that the act of destruction is such an interesting thing to play with.
Because it's something that we're all going to go through no matter what, you know? Yeah. Death is coming for us all. If we can embrace that, we can enjoy life and have a lot less anxiety about it.
That is, I feel like this is a therapy session. That's aliens I'm terrified of, death I'm terrified of. Like, I mean, we're getting it all with Irene.
What else are you afraid of, Joey?
Oh my gosh, we're bringing it all out. I'm like, I'm losing control of the interview. There were also, I'm glad we're getting you on Drag Race now, but there were rumors that you were going to be on Drag Race as far back as season 9. I've been hearing your name thrown around. So have you been auditioning this entire time, or is this your first time auditioning?
Oh God, I wish it was my first time auditioning. No, I did. I posted a little prank when I moved from Houston to Seattle back when season 9 was casting. Just saying like, hey guys, I'm not going to be on my phone much this summer, hanging out in LA. I auditioned for the first time for season 11 and then have just auditioned consecutively until season 15.
Since season 11, okay. What do you think is like, do you think there's something that makes now like the right time? Like, do you feel this is the right time for you to be on the show?
I'm very much let go, let what happens happen. So whatever time it happened, that would be the right time. I also try not to live in regret. Every year I turn the tape in and just kind of let go. You know, I don't want to put too much pressure on myself, but I will say I never felt more confident in my drag than I did this year, and I never felt less like pretending to be someone else.
Yeah. No, that takes a while, I think, to settle into that and fully come into that. But what, I know that these audition tapes get crazy, so what is the craziest thing you did in all of your audition tapes?
This past year, I actually rented an Airbnb down in Portland that looks like a giant flying saucer.
Oh my God.
And I took all my looks down there, got into full alien drag, and filmed my looks inside and around the flying saucer. I was like, let's create a full set this year. Let's show them that I am committed.
That's also scaring me. UFOs, aliens, that's scaring me again. So how do you think that you fit into the dynamic of Drag Race? Because it is a very specific,
it is,
in terms of the aesthetic, in terms of the interactions with the other queens. So like the clashes of Untucked for an example. How did you feel integrating yourself into that dynamic of Drag Race?
Unfortunately, I am one of those people who you never have to wonder how I feel about anything. I unfortunately have word vomit. I just tell it how it is in my own head, and I speak my mind. So in many ways, I am built for reality TV just because I'm not hiding who I am on camera. In many other ways, you know, I needed the show to save me from myself a little bit, if that makes sense. You know, maybe don't show the craziest sides of Miss Irene.
I was gonna say, can you explain that a little bit more? What you mean?
Yeah, you know, I think some of us we all find times to put our feet in our mouth, and some of us just live with our feet in our mouth. And being on camera is dangerous because we can say things that get us in trouble. And there's a camera on me right now, so I'm not going to say anything else.
Okay, all right, we won't push it. You also, I believe you have a close relationship with Bosco?
Super close, yeah.
Is that true?
She's one of my best friends.
And the Mothership show, I know, as well. So what were your conversations like with Bosco prior to joining Drag Race?
Get me on the show! Get me on the show! No. I was just kind of asking her, you know, how her experience was and if she had any tips. You know, pulling all of the blackmail I could find out to force her to call the producers and make them put me on the show. Very much.
And it worked.
It sure did.
It sure worked. Can you think back to season 14 and watching her on that and maybe moments that you were most proud of her on the show?
Every time she won a challenge, I was extremely proud of her, but just watching someone who, so I was around when Bosco started drag. I remember seeing her the very first couple times and watching someone just become exactly who they're meant to be. Is so profound, and seeing her just succeed like that was just, as her friend, it was an amazing feeling to see.
Yeah, it really, her story, plus all the other trans women that were on that season, I mean, it was just so great to see Bosco take part in that. I'm assuming you've met the horse.
Actually, I have not met the horse. Bosco advertises herself as this horse girl, but the horse lives like an hour outside of Seattle. I'm not going all the way to meet some horse. I'm scared of horses. The way you're scared of aliens, I'm scared of horses. What if a horse kicked me? You know what happens?
Well,
dead.
We're talking about not being afraid of death, so you should not be afraid of that. It's going to happen to all of us, the destruction by horse.
You got me there. You got me there.
So do you remember, though, one of the best Bosco moments, well, I shouldn't say best, but one of those memorable Bosco moments on season 14, obviously the lip sync episode. She looked very shaken. Could you tell watching that from home, like, oh, my friend is in peril?
Yeah, here's the thing about Bosco that a lot of people don't know is that she is debilitatingly competitive.
Yeah.
As soon as she finds herself backed into a corner, every gear in her body starts turning. So I could see in her eyes, I was like, oh, this girl's going crazy right now. The thought of her failing in her own head is worse than the thought of anybody else seeing her fail. She is her own harshest critic. No matter how mean you are to her online, she's meaner to herself.
I like that you turned to the camera to say that. You really have to emphasize
I'm saying it to the fans. So there's no use being mean to the girl.
No.
You're not going to out-mean her.
So what about season 15 do you think is going to gag the fans? Because season 14 was great, but I mean, moving into a new year, biggest cast ever, how is this season going to step it up?
So no shade to season 14. I really liked season 14, but in past seasons, there have been several girls on the show who I think the wider drag community was aware of, and it felt like season 14 was a lot of girls who hadn't really broken through yet. Season 15 is an insanely stacked cast. I don't think there's a single weak link. It's some of the greatest drag I've ever seen in my entire life. When we were unpacking in the workroom on the first day, I was losing my mind. I wanted to take everybody's drag. It's a really, really talented cast and a really beautiful cast.
Yes.
In and out of drag.
Oh, yeah.
I think the fans are gonna gag at how hot these dudes are.
Who's the trade?
Everyone, that's the problem. You think I couldn't focus on what I was doing? I was like, why is everyone here so sexy?
You're gonna take them all back in the spaceship with you?
Oh, girl, you would not believe what was going on in that hotel.
Oh no, that hot tub at the hotel was...
It's not water anymore, baby.
So after having competed, all of this experience behind you from season 15, if you could go back and talk to the Irene that walked into the workroom on the first day, what would you say to her?
Quit. I'm kidding.
I would
say, yeah, I know, you guys were like, wow, this is really serious. No, I would just tell her, remember the mistakes you made in your early 20s and apply those lessons that you thought you learned.
Well, all right, we're going to prepare to blast back off into space. Irene, thank you so much for joining me, and stay tuned for more from the cast of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15.
Thanks for having me, Joey.
Of course, thank you.